The squad to me looks to be a balanced side, but the only thing which I feel is missing there is the opening pair. I'm not so convinced.
Hi, guys, and welcome once again to Straight Back with Mr. Cricket UAE and Gulf News. We're here once again with the mighty Anis Sajan and also with Sham Krishna from Gulf News. I'm Matt Smith, and we're here today to talk about the India squad that's going to be heading to England shortly for the World Test Championship against New Zealand. Now, there's a few curveballs in that team, but first of all, let's go and say hi to Anis.
Thank you, Matt. Hi, Sham. Welcome to the beautiful people of Gulf News community. So what if the IPL is called off? But Gulf News is there to update you about what's happening in the world of cricket, and nothing bigger than the World Test Championship final. We will be talking about the squad, but before that, good news for all the fans of Gulf News. Like always, we will be giving 3 months of subscription of Gulf News. We'll be having some contests running for that Test Championship final, as well as beautiful jacket and also a Mr. Cricket cap. Over to you, Matt.
Cool. Well, that's something that's worth getting. I've already got mine, so I can't enter, sadly. But basically, we obviously over the past day or so, we've seen the developments of the travelling squad that's going to be coming from India to head over to England. I think is Southampton for the final. Is that correct? Now, obviously, there's a lot of true familiar names in there, but there's a few guys that have made a return in the shape of like Jadeja, Shami, Vihari. Let's go to those guys first, and we'll see. Have they earned a place back in the squad?
Oh yes, Matt. To be very honest, it's a very solid squad India has picked up. Obviously, because of the COVID, they had to pick up a larger squad. Initial days it used to be 15, but this time they have taken 20 plus 4 extras. So the squad to me looks to be a balanced side, but the only thing which I feel is missing there is the opening pair. I'm not so convinced, but I'm sure Sham can throw some light on it.
Actually, I'm okay with the squad because Rohit and Gill are very compact players, good technique there. And then we have Mayank Agarwal as well as KL Rahul there. So I'm okay with it. Especially what you need to bear in mind is these are English conditions. The balls tend to seam around and swing a bit. So you need there will be a searching examination of technique. And remember, this is a 5-day test match, so they have all the time in the world. They can keep bowling on the off stump corridor and keep waiting for the batsman to make mistakes. So it is a test of temperament and technique. So I think Gill and Rohit has the ability to tide over that.
Okay, and Anis, obviously there's no Bhuvi and no Pandya in the squad. Is that a brave decision, or is that just the right decision?
When it comes to Pandya, probably they took a practical decision because he was not bowling during the IPL. Also, in fact, he did not bowl a single over in the IPL. Am I right, Sham?
He did not Absolutely, he didn't bowl in the IPL at all.
So if they had to carry Pandya, he had to bowl some overs, and maybe they feel he's still not match fit to bowl for a test match. That's why they're not picked Pandya. But when it comes to Bhuvi, I believe he was also injured during the last series when India had gone in 2018, and India dearly missed him. When it comes to swinging conditions in England, like Sham mentioned, there's going to be swing and seam. Bhuvi's experience will be definitely missed, but the management probably is not having the confidence in his fitness.
Okay, and obviously the New Zealand guys got back today. Trent Boult gave a big, nice message of love over to the guys in India and the gratitude of the way they were looked after. With the recent series against Australia and England, do India, with their tails up, having come back from very early setbacks in those series, have a slight advantage over New Zealand, or is there something that New Zealand have in store?
Honestly, Matt, these are swinging conditions, maybe not as similar as New Zealand, but New Zealand probably have the edge for two reasons. One, they go to England well in advance and prepare by playing 2 test matches against England. So there is where they have an extra advantage. Currently, their seam attack, which boasts of Trent Boult, Saudi, Kyle Jamieson, and there's the left armer Sham. Whom am I missing? That fast bowler who's got that knack of picking wickets and an aggressive fast bowler. I'm not able to recollect that name. And also they have Grant the home. In short,
Yeah.
New Zealand
Random.
bowling attack is well equipped. And as I said, the biggest advantage is that they go and play two test matches with the host England. Maybe Sham can add on to it.
Yeah, I guess so. Also, for New Zealand, the conditions are a bit similar to back home for them. They are pretty much used to the swing and seam in their home pitches here. So they might be at home in England, so they have that added advantage. So I completely agree with Anis that although India has the India maybe in terms of what do you call India in terms of mindset, India must be buoyant, but in terms of conditions, I think New Zealand has the edge there.
Mm-hmm.
The
And
bowler was Neil Wagner. Neil Wagner.
Okay, I get it.
okay, just and in terms of the competition itself, this is obviously the first time we've ever been in a position that we've held this, and I personally think they've done quite well to actually get to this stage, given the setbacks that they've had over the past 2 years. And obviously, there's been rule changes and points changes and things. How do we think that this competition as it will be as an entity will go forward?
I'm glad you asked me this question, Matt, and I'm sure Sham also would like to add some points. This is the first time a Test Championship sort of a thing has been played, and both the teams who have made it to the finals have deservedly made it. By beat New Zealand, who came back after a disappointment against Australia, even though they won all their matches in their home country. So did India, where they beat Australia, which was a difficult one, and then they came back from behind to beat England. And a World Test Championship, which Sham always says that Test cricket is the highest level of cricket, and anyone winning this championship it's like winning a World Cup. And I remember a couple of players did mention that this is something they would like to have in their kitty, and more importantly for India, because they haven't had a lot to in their kitty after the 2013 Champions Trophy, which was also a white ball. India will be much more eager, and so will be New Zealand. Sham.
Absolutely, you're spot on there. Because not just that, the added attraction here is this is the first one, and this is something which everybody will remember, and that will go down in history as as the inaugural one. So that is a huge bonus for them, which means both the teams will be giving off their best.
Okay, and then obviously we've had the IPL in between. How do people like Kohli and the rest of the guys get their mindset, given this cancellation of this 3 weeks before they travel out to England, to switch back into Test mode, Anis?
Well, these are all professional cricketers. Irrespective of the IPL being called off, unfortunately, due to the COVID crisis, the players have been used to playing different formats when they go for overseas tours. That they play first either the ODI or the white ball format, and then they switch to Test, or from Test to white. So they are used to this. And the only, I would say, a blessing in disguise for probably both the teams, and especially India, is that they get that enough break. They get that rest. They are going to regroup in India from the 25th, where they will be in a quarantine for 10 days. Then they will go to England on June 2, where they can start practicing from June 2. They are taking that permission from the England board and the England country that they can immediately start. They will be in a quarantine in England too. But after staying in the 10-day bubble, they move to another bubble where they can start practicing. So they will try and get acclimatized to the conditions. Sham?
I pretty much agree with the fact that this is a blessing in disguise. Yes, because otherwise it's just going to be it's almost like back to back for the Indian cricketers and the New Zealanders who have been part of the IPL. So I think the break in the IPL is certainly a blessing in disguise, and I'm sure that will be reflected in the performances as
well. Absolutely, and obviously the other thing is we mentioned about the travel. England have obviously they want to make sure that these things go ahead. Obviously, with the New Zealand series and the India series coming up after the WTC, that they seem to be very accommodating, as they did in the first tests that they held. I think after the coronavirus last year, they were in Southampton at Old Trafford, that they were the ones that showed the bio bubble can work. If you've got the hotel at the ground and everyone's in the safe environment, and they will be in the same
Yes,
sort of environment again.
yes. England was the first country who started cricket, and to start Test cricket in a bio bubble, they did a great job. They had a series with West Indies, they had a series with Pakistan, and they pulled it off very, very well. And I don't see any reason, because the way England has come back well, fighting the virus, and things seems to be normal. And I won't be surprised even if they allow crowd in the series between India and England, because good part about having a series in England is that you have crowd from both nations. Like suppose if you have an India England series, or you have an India New Zealand, people from both centers come and support. Okay, India will definitely have more fan following, but the advantage of holding a World Cup or a series in England is that you get people from all cultures, and that's the plus point England has to give credit for. Right, Sham?
Absolutely, and I think there might be at least 30% of crowd we might be allowed in, because in England situation, the COVID situation is pretty much under control. And if you look back at some of the Premiership matches earlier, they had 30% crowd, or a percent of count, depending on which tier of the which tier it was involved. So I wouldn't be surprised if they allow at least a certain percentage of the spectators in. And actually, spectators, to me, there can't be sport without spectators. I mean, sport is a spectacle, so it says spectators are essentially a part of the sport itself. So yeah, sport without spectators, it is like you're taking away the essence of sport. So I mean, I would welcome spectators back for these matches, and
I'll
it
just
would
add
it
one
would only
point.
be fitting.
Yeah, you're right,
And
Sham. You know what? England is one place where Test cricket is followed with heart and soul. Where in other countries, Test cricket is still taken as a boring format. But when it comes to England, you will see everybody there, and it's a packed house, right, Sham?
that's true. But partly another reason for that is the smaller grounds also. So there's a lot of intimacy there. You can intimacy, as in, the guy sitting in the front is pretty much on the boundary line, really. So there's a connect there. So which is why if you see the matches in where India and West Indies or Pakistan plays, you can see always the crowd rushing into the ground, which is not possible elsewhere. Maybe the exception of New Zealand, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like when I watch it on TV, you see like the water boy or even the guys on the boundary. You see a camaraderie with the crowd. There's chats, there's selfies almost, and things like that go on as
True.
well when they're not actually involved in it. Yeah, it's in a true spirit, and obviously England is very traditional towards the red ball game as well. That's what that's kind of what makes it the home of cricket, like Lords, as they say. But the one other thing is like with this game against New Zealand just being a one-off test, and India having had, let's say, questionable starts in the last two series against Australia and especially England, how do they go about getting in there right at the top of at a flying start?
Well, it's going to be a test of character for Indian players, Matt and Sham. And I'm sure, like Virat Kohli still doesn't have anything in his kitty bearing a under 19 World Cup of 50 overs. So he would definitely like to have that. At the same time, Kane Williamson came very close in the 19 World Cup, but they lost in the super over. So a lot at stake, especially for India, because as I said, Virat doesn't have anything in the kitty, and he is one guy who inspires India to play Test cricket the hardest way, and he is going to be a vital cog for India, probably winning or not winning this Test
Mm-hmm.
championship final. Sham?
I think you missed out. I think Kohli was part of the side which won the 2013 World Cup, isn't it?
No, no. That was you're talking about as a captain. He has not won Champions Trophy.
Oh,
He's
okay,
not
all
won
right,
that.
yeah, yeah. Dhoni was a captain there. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm nodding like I know. I'm going, yeah, okay. The the obviously the other thing that we talked about earlier was New Zealand have this advantage of getting up to speed beforehand, and India will be coming in straight into this one-off final. Does that play into New Zealand's hand as well?
I believe so, because as you mentioned, switching from one format to another, it takes time. And the advantage New Zealand will have that they would have already played 2 test matches with almost their full squad bearing Trent Bolt. So they would have got used to the conditions. And as Sham always mentioned, and I also agree and endorse, that test cricket is the test of the temperament of a player where you need a lot of resolve, you need a lot of patience, and you are tested heavily throughout the 5 days. So that thing New Zealand already has. And secondly, they have had the wood over India in the last series when they played India. So if you had to ask me, I would probably, give New Zealand as a 60-40% favorites for this series. Sham?
Same here, 60-40, simply because what you said is a very, very important point here. Because when you play 2 test matches, your whole mindset has changed. You are adapted to the format, and you know how the conditions behave, and you can make the necessary adjustments. Whereas India going straight into it, so they could be caught unawares, or to use the expression, they could be, or even be like rabbits caught in the headlight, because the T20 habits they might unwittingly bring into the test matches.
Mm-hmm.
Or the cold weather of Europe.
You want to see cold weather? Play a test match in Scotland. I guess the flip side of that is with the extra 10 days that they'll have to play beforehand, they may pick up injuries. So,
Not really.
No, you never know. A broken finger with
that you're asking
we've
for
seen
too
it.
much, Matt.
No, just say you look at Rajasthan Royals. They fell like flies, So you never know.
That's why they are carrying 20-25 people, so that if somebody is having an issue, they have a replacement.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. I mean, I think in the build up to this, we're going to talk about this more and more, and then we'll get into the England series as well after that. But in the meantime, thanks to Sham, thanks to Anis. I know it's a late night now. And just say, guys, don't forget to keep an eye out at golfnews.com, and there'll be lots more competitions for chances to win subscriptions, chances to win all the equipment we're offering, and we'll be with you all the way through. Thanks to Anis and thanks to Sham, and we'll speak to you again soon, guys.
Thank you, Sham. Thank you, Matt. Before we sign off, just for all our listeners who are following us, we will be back on 17th of June, a day before the test match, just to preview who will be the actual squad from England, from New Zealand and India for this big final. Mind you, it's the first World Test Championship final, so make sure to be logging on your favorite page, Gulf News.